Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to Chinet, the agentic commerce podcast learning how brands are building in an AI world. I'm Rashid Magan, your host. What they see is, of course, the supplement, but what they see behind is probably like, protein, health, maybe trust, right? When a pharmacist opens the same jar, they see a very different story. They see what's hidden, they see what's overdosed, they see what's underdosed, what's marketed well, and what actually deserves to be there. We all know that India is one of the most protein deficient countries in the world. 73% of Indians don't get enough protein daily, and most of them have no idea. A peer reviewed study tested the 36 popular supplements sold in India, and they found that more than half of them were mislabeled. Of course, we have this whole labeling drive happening in the world in India right now, where there are influencers who are motivating us to read the labels. But what happens if the labels themselves are incorrect, right? Where do we go? Today's guest has actually worked on the supply side of this industry for almost a decade before she decided to build differently. Shilpa is a pharmacist, a former nutraceutical ingredient executive, and the founder of Renewtra. 3 years of formulating before selling a single product, clinical evidence on the front of every pack, bootstrapped, no shortcuts. So let's invite Shilpa to the stage and let's see how she's building, what she's building, where are the challenges, and where is the industry headed today. Hi, Shilpa. Very warm welcome to Chinet.
Hi, Rajit. Thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you for having me. Really excited.
Same here, same here. So, Shilpa, let's start. If you could give like a small introduction before we actually get down to the questions.
Sure. Hi, I'm Shilpa. I am the founder of Renewtra. Renewtra is a D2C protein, plant based, clean label protein supplement brand. So, I, by qualification, I'm a pharmacist. And then I have worked in the Indian nutraceutical industry for about 10 years. And during my tenure at various companies, I've been very closely associated with working with ingredient suppliers as well as finished product companies. I was like the bridge between the two. Also, helping other D2C companies launch their products, formulate, market. So I've seen the backstage side of it, so to say, and
Right.
that actually motivated me to, build something of my own because of the gaps that I saw. We all saw the recent study on protein supplements, especially. Uh, I've seen much more than that, and that's when I actually decided to start my own supplement, and that's how Renewtra was born.
So, I'm sure you've seen a lot during your career, as you said, what
Yes.
happens behind the scenes. But tell me something which a layman could understand, right? When you look at a supplement jar, what what is the first thing which you notice which someone like me would not?
Yeah. So I ignore the front mostly.
Hmm.
The front is only for marketing, it's only
Correct.
for aesthetics. You flip and you actually look at the ingredient label. You look at, so there's two things. One is the ingredient label section, one is the nutritional facts section. You have to check
Correct.
both. So, first is the dose. How much of something is used and whether that dose in that amount was studied in the clinical trial. If not, then
Okay.
it's just there for probably just for the label. If it's not in that
Hmm.
dose, in the effective dose, it's not going to do any good, probably just for the feel good factor on the label. It's not going to do anything to you. So the dose is very important. Second is the claims. What are
Right.
they claiming? So we very casually see supplements claiming, making disease claims like
Hmm.
PCOS support,
Right.
liver detox, and these are very casually thrown around.
Right.
Technically, regulation wise, you cannot make disease claims on a supplement label,
Hmm.
which is very cleverly, bypassed. But you cannot make claims like hormone imbalance support or PCOS. You cannot make those claims. So if any supplement is making that claim, I'm immediately skeptical.
So
Look
is
at
it
the
that you
claims.
cannot make those claims unless there's a clinical study, or you cannot make those claims at all?
If there is so PCOS or PCOD, things like that,
Right.
these are actual disorders, and these cannot be treated by a supplement. They have to be treated under a qualified medical person
Right.
who knows your history, right? Every PCOS, I'm just taking a PCOS example, but every PCOS is different. Every woman, the hormonal profile is different, and you cannot treat PCOS with a supplement.
Hmm.
My issue comes with if a young girl is reading something like this on the label and she starts self medicating, it could be detrimental
Of
to the
course.
health.
Yes.
Yeah. So similar disease claims, I mean, you cannot make such disease claims on the label. So that is another thing that I, as a pharmacist, immediately check for, because we have studied drugs as well
Right.
when we studied pharmacy, and we know how drugs interact in the body. We know how food ingredients interact. We know how herbal extracts interact, and all these three
Right.
are very, very different from each other. But now, what's happening in the industry is everything is kind of getting overlapped. Herbal extracts, again, very important on the label. Recently, FSCCI came out just day before yesterday, and they said that ashwagandha extract, the leaves part of the extract is banned because it's not
Okay.
safe. It causes liver toxicity. So only the root extract is allowed. So
Hmm.
I was always of the opinion that what are herbal extracts doing, for example, in a protein supplement? You're taking
Right.
it, consuming it every day, you're taking it daily. Herbal extracts are potent actives. They are not your casual food ingredients that you can just take every day without any medical
Hmm.
supervision.
Correct.
So, I'm very particular about the dose, the claims, what kind of claims the supplement is making, and of course, these kind of items like herbal extracts. I'm very, very skeptical about them. Third thing is look at the nutrition panel. The ingredient list can say something.
Right.
The claims can say zero sugar, but the nutrition panel will give you the real picture.
Hmm.
You
Correct.
can claim zero sugar and add dates and jaggery. FSI allows that.
Right.
But then on the nutrition facts, if you see the total sugar, then you have your answer. So and there are too many things, but these are the top things that I would check on a label
Right.
instantly.
Correct. And when a company decides that, okay, this is the product which they're doing, right? We of course see the end product. We see we might be seeing the labels now, uh,
Yeah.
especially after there's been a lot of improvement in that from the consumer side. What happens behind the closed doors, which you've been in the industry for long enough to know that what's how are these decisions made, and what's happening behind the scenes which we have no idea about.
So coming to India market, it always starts with the cost. It always
Hmm.
starts with we need to make this supplement at X cost and then work
Hmm.
backwards in the ingredients.
Hmm.
Then, you have to have some compromises on the ingredients, on the quality, on the extract, on a lot of other things. That I think, I mean, I also say it in a lot of places that supplements are created in boardrooms, but they should not be. They should be created in a food lab, or it should not be created by marketeers. It should be
Right.
created by qualified people who are actually experts in the field. So what happens is they have a certain target, X amount. You have to fit in this particular formula. Now you formulate it, and that's how it happens. behind behind the state, this is what usually happens. And then we have to settle for low quality ingredients where obviously the cost is a major factor. We also saw this with
Hmm.
not just small companies but big giants with big marketing budgets, but they'll often want to compromise on the formulation. We saw this with a very famous company which makes infant formulas. In third world countries, they use sugar, and in first world
Yes.
countries, they didn't, because
Yes.
obviously because of the price pressures and cost sensitivity of
Correct.
our country.
Correct. I think, yeah, I have a 14-year-old, so that I've been very and my father's a pediatric doctor, so we've been very careful about infant formulas. And I saw what you're talking about.
Yes,
It's really
yes,
sad, and it goes for honesty is there with everything. Like starting from the junkiest of the foods are worse in third world countries versus in Europe,
absolutely.
and it's even between Europe and America, right? They're
Yes,
worse in America, better in the EU's. But
yes,
infant formula is something people get like that's you're more
it is, right?
careful and more emotional about it, right? Like because you're
Yeah, I mean,
feeding
a
it to a child.
2 month, 3 month old baby is having it. You don't want to mess around with that.
Of course, of
You should
course.
not mess around with anybody's health, but that's a very, very sensitive
Correct.
uh, age. So if it's
100%.
happening there, then we can only imagine what
Hmm.
must be happening for adult supplements.
Yeah, and thankfully now there are a lot of people who are trying to there are a lot of studies going on with that. you know um, as a consumer you can only read a label, right? And you
Yes,
can understand, and then you of course trust the regulation, and you trust the brand enough ki they won't lie on the label. But recently there's been most of the supplements, I think there were a lot of supplements which got tested, and almost 70% said that the labels were not correct. I was shocked, honestly. I was shocked. Were
true.
you shocked, or were you like I knew this was going to happen?
As much as I want to say yes, I was shocked. No, I
Hmm.
wasn't. I wasn't even shocked with the number, honestly.
Hmm.
And I don't want to say that it's the mistake of the founders or the manufacturers, because the expertise is so less in this, and it's such a new industry also for our country. It's
Hmm.
still in a kind of a very initial stage. The awareness is also now kind of increasing.
Right.
So I won't say it's their fault, but um, because the regulations also are evolving so much. I mean,
Right.
FSI also has a new regulation, a new format every 3 months.
Hmm.
So it's difficult to kind of keep up as well. And yes, in some cases it was a blatant mislabeling
Hmm.
by choice.
Right.
So that is the problematic part. But yeah, I mean, I have seen this, so I cannot say I was surprised.
Hmm.
But if you, in fact, remove the mislabeling, the definition that they have used in the study,
Mm-hmm.
if you include other mislabelings as well, then the
Mm-hmm.
number would, in fact, be
Increase.
more
Hmm.
than what was found
Right.
in the study.
Right. Because there
And
are certain criteria where okay, above
yes,
this is a mislabeling, below this is a fault, or right. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. Apart from the sensationalism of the whole thing,
Right.
I think we also have to be little sensitive to the fact that sometimes not everybody is, willfully doing it. Sometimes
Absolutely.
it's,
Yes.
I mean, that's not an excuse you can get away with, because if you
Hmm.
are in the business of health, the margin of error should be zero,
Right.
honestly. But I mean, we have to give them also some room, some benefit of doubt. But in cases of spiking and
Hmm.
amino spiking, that is unpardonable. That
Correct.
you cannot say that you cannot get away with it
Hmm.
in any way. But I mean, you must have noticed that even after the study came out, I think all those supplements are still in the market.
Yeah, and people are
Nothing
consuming
has
them, right?
happened.
Nothing has
Yeah,
happened. No.
nothing has changed.
Right.
So the onus is really on whom then?
Hmm.
Is it on the regulators? Is it on the consumers to be more aware, or is it on the companies to just do better?
Right. I
Because
think it needs to start from the consumers, right? Like only then it'll have to flow up, because otherwise if there are 50 companies, and if there are two companies which are doing everything by the book, and doing everything which is fair, but
mm,
they're not being credited for what they're doing, and the rest 48 are getting by with sub quality products, then the onus is on the consumer, right? Like if you know that there's something wrong,
yes,
then if you have to pay 10% extra, then do that.
absolutely. Quality comes at a cost. Uh,
Yes, quality
Should
comes
it
at a
come,
cost.
unfortunately.
That's true. So tell me a bit about supplements. We're a protein deficient country.
It's
I agree, but most Indians eat dal every day. I have dal for any at least one type of dal for lunch, and there's this thing that, okay, either if you're a non-vegetarian, maybe you have enough protein. If you're a vegetarian and if you're having enough lentils, you're good. Is that the fact?
no. So I want to say this thing that everything that contains protein is not necessarily a good source of protein.
Okay.
Same goes for dals or lentils. Yes, they contain protein, but how much is the question? An average person would need somewhere on the upwards of 50 grams of protein per day to not be protein deficient.
Hmm.
Now, a bowl of cooked dal would have somewhere around 2 to 3 grams of protein. So, you
Hmm.
do the math, you'll
Right.
have to have how many bowls of that cooked dal to
Right.
complete your daily protein quota. That's not practical and it's not sustainable.
Hmm.
So, I'm not saying it's impossible to meet your daily protein goals by food. It's definitely possible, but you just have to do a bit more of meal planning.
Hmm. Right.
You'll have to get into it, do good meal planning, and put some time and effort there. Yeah, supplements can only give you 20 to 25 grams. The rest
Hmm.
has to come from food.
From food.
Yes, yes. But supplement exists. It's a supplement. It's not a
Correct.
replacement, and you have to treat it that way.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
absolutely true.
And then again, dal is one thing, but
Hmm.
I'm also seeing a trend of making these high protein laddus
Oh,
on
yes, yes,
the
they've been a
internet,
lot in
and
the market.
they are mixing all dry fruits and dates and making a high protein laddu out of it.
Correct.
And I just want to say that again, dry fruits do contain protein, but it's not necessarily a good source of
Hmm.
protein. It contains more fat. So if you're having 3 laddus a day thinking that this has protein, you're
Right.
probably doing more harm than good.
And what about the protein bars which are there in the market? I'm a very consumer of, like, I have at least half a whole truth bar every day.
Hmm.
I think that's perhaps the cleanest of fun. But what about the
Yes.
general market? What about the protein bars? What is your thought?
So again, when it comes to protein bars, it's um, it's a better for you product. It's not a healthy product. People have to understand the difference
Hmm.
between the two. You cannot keep having a protein bar when you crave for a snack.
Hmm.
The fact that you're craving for a snack, that is the problem. You need to go and
Right.
fix your meal that you don't crave for a snack. An occasional craving. So instead of having something junk, you have a protein bar. That's what
Right.
it was designed for. So it's a better for you product. It's not a healthy product.
Correct.
So I think people still need to realize this a bit, that the whole healthy snacking. So healthy snacking itself, the term is kind of an oxymoron. So snacking
Right.
itself is a problem that you have to solve.
Hmm.
You're replacing that, with another healthy snack,
Right.
and then you clutch onto it, and
Hmm.
you should know. I mean, you should be aware of whatever you're eating, whether it's really healthy
Hmm.
or it's better for you, and it should be occasional. So again, it comes down to reading the label,
Right.
really,
Right.
not the
Right.
ingredients, the
The
actual label,
the
the
nutrition
nutrition
label
facts. Yeah, yeah.
comes down to that, and the fact that it should be correct. That's something which
See
you don't
that
know.
that we'll have to trust the companies with
Correct.
what they're doing. But
Right.
yes, we have seen cases where even that has been faulty. So
So with let's come to your to how you've built Renutra. If I'm
mm,
not wrong, it took you 3 years. You've said that. So this was from idea to launch, 3 years.
yes,
Wow.
yes.
So what took you 3 years for launching your first product?
So first of all, the formulation part,
Hmm.
because we wanted to keep it clean. Now, clean is such a vague word and so subjective. Like,
Hmm.
how do you define it? So then we wanted to adopt a kind of a labeling system that will make it more measurable. So we kind of adopted the traffic light labeling system on
I
the
know,
front
I've
of
seen
pack.
that, and yeah, we
Yeah, so that's a norm in other developed countries.
yes,
In
yes,
Europe, you will find it.
correct. In Europe, they have that green and yellow
Yes,
and red. Right,
correct. So you decode the sugar, the saturated fat, and sodium on the front of the pack, and you color code it according to the levels in the product. So even if you have whatever ingredients listed on the front of the pack, a layman is not going to really understand whether
right.
jaggery powder is healthier than sugar, but what is it actually doing?
Hmm.
It's still sugar. So in this kind of a labeling, there's no room for any kind of ambiguity. So we
Right,
wanted an all green panel for our product, and then we chose plant-based protein. Plant-based protein is very difficult to formulate, by the way, because of the inherent texture of it. We decided not to use any emulsifiers, no thickeners, no additives, no artificial flavors or colors, and then the formulation becomes challenging. How do you make it palatable? How do you keep it clean? All that took a lot
a
of
lot of
time.
time.
Sourcing the right ingredients is very important. How do you ensure that the protein is absorbed in the gut? Because that also is a very big challenge.
Right,
Bioavailability of what is there in the product, especially protein. So we had to
true.
choose a good ingredient that would enhance its bioavailability.
Hmm.
So again, so sourcing, formulating, reformulating, testing,
Right.
all that takes time. So in hindsight, the 3 years actually went by quickly for us, but I feel that's the minimum amount of time that it can take from
But
idea
weren't
to
you like during those 3 years? Weren't you weren't there days when you're like, oh God, can I just launch this? Like it's been years and months we've been trying to do this.
yes, yes, of course. Every day as a founder, I can say
Hmm.
that every day you feel feel that way. But I think we didn't want to take any shortcuts when it
Hmm.
comes to formulation,
Right.
right? As I said, the margin of error in health is zero.
Hmm.
That's the philosophy we operate by. We
Right.
don't want a case where we formulate something and then we have to go back and correct ourselves and apologize to the we didn't want that scenario.
Hmm.
So formulation should be right the first time. All
Correct.
the other frills, the packaging, then everything else can improve, but the formulation cannot. So that you have to get it perfect.
So it's as you said, it's very hard for any brand in this category, as a matter of fact, to make a product that is effective, that is honest, and also that is commercially viable for
Mm.
people, right? It's a difficult thing. We've seen there are the biggest of influencers today are trying to do that, and they've released products which are so expensive. A person who's like a salaried professional, it's hard for them to even afford something like that, right? In your case, what has been the most difficult part? Is it been making it effective, making it honest, or generally making it commercially viable? Because I think you've found somewhat of a sweet spot. What has been the most hardest part?
Hardest is the honest part.
Right.
Being honest was hardest.
Hmm.
See, effective is a science problem.
Hmm.
Science can deal with it. We can do it.
Right.
Commercially viable is again a strategy problem.
Hmm.
Solvable,
Hmm.
right? But that the honest part, that is a value system thing. It's an ethics issue.
Right.
That is the hardest part. So because at every step,
Hmm.
formulation, sourcing,
Right.
negotiating with vendors, that honest part is the one that's
Takes
always threat.
time.
And you have to keep saying no to so many things to kind of uphold that. So that is the hardest part. Everything else is manageable and solvable.
Shilpa, in as you can see, right, like AI itself is changing a lot of things. They're changing how consumer discover products. Like even now, people are searching on AI before they Google something, right? In your category, in supplements in general, especially in health, there have been a lot of positive as well as negative cases, right? Like there have been some majorly negative cases where the AI has hallucinated and suggested some such random things, which and then people have actually took them and then went to the doctors, and then my father faces a lot of difficulty these days because they'll ask ChatGPT and then it'll say something, and then 1 week later the child is like a 12-month-old is not not he's not healthy, and then the patient comes crying that, okay, what's wrong. What do you think, in your in supplements, does AI help to find the truth, or is it giving bad actors just better tools to to hide? Because we know everything, even AI chat can be manipulated, right? You have AEO. So has is AI helping us, or is it basically just giving us, mm, making it all worse?
I think it's both.
Hmm.
It's both. But I'm more worried about the second, the latter part, you know, because with AI, what has happened is bad actors
Hmm.
with really good prompts can
Exactly.
generate or produce very authentic but fake credibility. So
Exactly.
that is a very big problem. But we are all guilty of using ChatGPT for health information.
Yes.
And see, we cannot negate the good part of it. We just have to take care of the bad actors. I would say it's both, but in especially in the supplement industry, I think radical transparency is the only way that you can get authenticity, because ChatGPT or not, ultimately it's your health. You have to make a good informed decision.
Right.
Don't just rely on an AI model to tell you what's healthy for you.
True.
Listen to your body, listen to your doctor. Of course, take help of AI because that's the world that we live in today,
Correct.
and you cannot ignore it. But I would say, strike a balance. It shouldn't be that AI becomes your doctor is a very dangerous thing to happen. Because as I said, bad actors with good prompts can produce credible results.
So yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, like, and what's happened is that because it's a very conversational result, if someone does not know that this can be manipulated, they trust it a lot, right? Like
Yes.
even we have relatives who will search something on chat gpt, and even if it's wrong, they'll be like, nee, but see, chat gpt is saying, how can it be wrong?
Yes.
And
Yes.
unfortunately, when that comes to your health, you need to be uber careful.
Absolutely. Because ChatGPT is also sourcing data from what is available to it all
Correct,
the
they're using your Quora
space.
answers, your Reddit chats,
Reddit.
and all of those.
So You have to decide how much you want to take that advice, especially for your health.
Right.
Just strike a balance, I would say. Yeah.
So with Renewtra, you put a QR code on every pack, right, which links to the clinical evidence, and it says that you don't have to don't need no need to flip. So do you eventually think that AI is going to help you in your mission, and do you plan to implement any of, like, do you have something in your roadmap which you think that where you think that AI can help you today?
Yeah. So the whole the QR code and then linking it to techniques of
Right.
things that we use. I want the consumer to scan it, go to
Hmm.
the study, and then post the link on the AI
Hmm.
and actually ask AI whether how good is the study, whether it's credible.
Right.
Summarize it for me. I want them to do that. I want the consumers to be skeptical, ask questions.
Right.
In fact, as consumers, we really need to start asking more questions. So, if you can integrate
Hmm.
your information with AI so that the consumer is more empowered or they get more information and they get more aware, I think it's a win-win.
Right. Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, yeah, they need to start asking questions. And we want
Absolutely.
that because if a brand has nothing to hide, I think we are ready for it.
Of
We're
course.
ready for the scrutiny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Shilpa, what has been your most difficult time from the time you've launched? Of course, I answered those 3 years must have been the most difficult, because you're formulating something, you don't have a product yet. You don't know whether there's a demand for it. What has been the most difficult part for you?
The most recent challenge would be just handling consumer queries. Sometimes people have very, very weird questions to ask about how to use something,
Right.
but this is so, just talking to consumers, understanding development. I mean, I obviously have help, I have a small team, but at this stage, it is challenging. I mean, we are also learning every day how to balance things and then, time management, small things like that.
Shilpa, last question for our podcast. So,
Mm.
if there is a bootstrap founder today, what would be your advice to them?
Yeah. So if you are bootstrapped, you have to be extremely disciplined with your money.
Hmm.
Know your cash flows in and out.
Right.
Plan your cash flows, plan your runway. Don't get into a situation where you're like, oh, but next month I don't know what I'll do. Don't find
Right.
yourself in that situation. So plan your cash flows very well. If you're looking at fundraising, then please give at least 8 months to an year to get those funds in your account, and until then,
Hmm.
please plan your cash flows. If you are a technical founder, like I am not from finance
Hmm.
background, I've not really done accounting. But when you become a founder, I would say invest in reading a book or two about
Hmm.
on accounting, on the financial side of it. You
Right.
should know your numbers. Bootstrapped or not, a founder should know their numbers because
Right.
that's how the financial discipline will kick in. Yeah, just manage your runway well,
Solid.
cash flows.
Solid. I love when you said, that even if you're fundraising, it'll take 8 to 10 months for the
Yes.
funds to hit your bank
You have
account.
to
The other day,
factor that time in. Yes, absolutely. So
absolutely.
plan ahead, plan 8 months ahead if you feel you need funds in the next 3 months, and if you approach an investor, that's going to be a red flag
Hmm.
because the investor would be like, why didn't you start earlier? That's
Correct.
bad planning.
Right.
So don't find yourself into that situation and just be patient. It'll happen because bootstrapped is difficult.
Of course, it's hard.
Have faith, have patience, and be at it. You'll feel like quitting once in a while. That's very normal.
Right.
Understand that that's also normal. Nothing is wrong with you, but keep at it. It'll pay off
Hmm.
someday. Yeah.
Amazing.
Be that delusional you need to be.
You have to be
Yes.
delusional to be a bootstrap farm, to basically start anything,
Yes.
right? It goes
Yes.
without
Yes.
saying.
Yes.
I think with our grandfather's generation, they did not have any option, right? That's why they had to start, because there was nothing else. Either you start and do something, or you just like do not do anything. In our generation, it's become very difficult, because there are like the opportunity cost is huge.
Yes. 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 So yeah, since you have to be a little practical also, while planning your finances, you should know how much, even your personal finance side, how much you need, how much you need to cut down on your lifestyle, and you will have to.
100%.
If you're bootstrap,
Yes,
you will have to cut down on your lifestyle. Be mentally prepared for it. Your
absolutely.
peers and your colleagues will, you will see a different picture,
Yes,
and you will feel sometimes that, oh, I also could have, you know, enjoyed that.
absolutely.
But then you have to mentally be prepared for it.
Hmm.
This is what you should love totally,
Right.
so that that thing doesn't, you don't care about that.
Absolutely. Very well said. Thank you, Shilpa. This is very sharp. I think I loved your advice. I loved how transparent company you're building, and for anyone watching, and if you're buying any supplement, please don't buy just the promise. Read the product. Um, I read the label of the product, not the front side, as Shilpa said, because that's only marketing. You want to know, you have to flip the product, unless it's a Renewtra product. Then you don't have to flip it. Then you just have to scan the QR code. Thank you, Shilpa, for your time. This has been amazing. Yeah, until next time, wishing you all the best, and of course, we'll be following your journey.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me.
Super.